At his macaron hook, the cafe tilde copyright buzzed with weekend chatter, but at the corner table, a young woman's eyes darted nervously, her hands trembling around a cup of coffee she hadn't touched. A stranger had been following her for blocks, and now, he stood outside the glass door, watching her like prey. Just then, a man with a little girl walked in, exhausted, wearing a plain gray shirt and a kind but tired face. The woman's eyes met his, desperate, pleading. Before he could ask, she whispered, "Please see broken bar, pretend you're my boyfriend." And in that one moment, his life and hers would never be the same. Evelyn Carter wasn't used to feeling afraid. At 28, she was the youngest CEO in her company's history, confident, precise, and composed. But that afternoon, her confidence cracked. A man she met once at a business mixer had turned into a persistent stalker, following her to the cafe tilde copyright near her apartment. Her heart raced as she sat down, pretending to scroll through her phone, trying not to make eye contact. Every exit seemed too far. And then, like fate intervening, she saw him, a tall man holding his daughter's hand, looking for an empty table. Without thinking, Evelyn stood and whispered, "Please, just go with it. Someone's been following me." The man, startled but calm, looked at her, then at the glass window where the stalker stood watching. Without hesitation, he smiled, wrapped his arm gently around her shoulders, and said loud enough for others to hear, "There you are, sweetheart. Sorry we're late." The stalker's face turned stiff, and moments later, he walked away. Evelyn exhaled, nearly shaking. "Thank you," she whispered. The man nodded, his voice steady. "You okay?" "I am now," she said, glancing at the little girl beside him, clutching a small stuffed bunny. "And who's this brave hero?" "This is Lily," he said, smiling faintly. "And I'm Daniel." They sat together, and slowly, conversation flowed. Daniel was a single dad. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier. He worked as a mechanic, raising Lily alone. His life was simple, quiet, and full of love. Evelyn listened, realizing how long it had been since she'd spoken to someone without pretending to be strong or perfect. When it was time to leave, Evelyn hesitated. "Can a broken bar thank you properly?" "Coffee tomorrow, maybe?" Danielle smiled. "Sure, but this time, no fake date, said just two people having coffee." She laughed softly. "Deal." The next day turned into a week of messages, then dinners, then walks in the park. Daniel's sincerity broke through her walls. For the first time in years, Evelyn felt seen, not as a CEO, not as a success story, but as a woman who could laugh, stumble, and be herself. But she kept one truth hidden, he didn't know who she really was. Every time he talked about dreams, about saving money to open his own garage, she wanted to help. But pride stopped her. She didn't want to be the rich woman saving the struggling man, she wanted to be the woman he chose for who she was. And then came the night everything shattered. Daniel was waiting outside her office building, holding flowers, smiling. But when he saw her step out with her assistant, surrounded by employees calling her Miss Carter, his face froze. He didn't move. The realization hit him that the woman he'd spent weeks with wasn't just Evelyn. She was Evelyn Carter, CEO of Carter Industries. The flowers slipped from his hands, and for the first time, she saw disappointment in his eyes. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked quietly. She swallowed, her voice trembling. "Because I didn't want you to look at me differently." He stepped back, pain in his voice. "You didn't trust me enough to tell the truth." And just like that, the woman who was used to control lost everything she didn't even know she needed. Days turned into weeks, and the silence between them became heavier than words. Evelyn buried herself in work, but every time she saw a father and daughter in the park, her chest tightened. She missed Lily's laughter, Daniel's quiet jokes, the way he looked at her like she wasn't her tilde copyright submate tilde copyright. Daniel, on the other hand, tried to move on. He told himself that she belonged to a different world, one where money and status mattered more than truth. But at night, when Lily asked, "Daddy, why doesn't Miss Evelyn visit anymore?" he couldn't answer. One rainy evening, fate crossed their paths again. Evelyn's car broke down near a quiet stretch of road. When a tow truck stopped, Her heart skipped. That was Daniel. Neither spoke at first. The rain fell harder, the clothes damp, their eyes avoiding each other. Finally, Danielle sighed. "You should have told me. I was scared," she said softly. "Every man I meet either sees my money or my position. You didn't. You saw me, and I didn't want to lose that." Daniel looked at her, tired, conflicted, but still gentle. "You didn't have to hide. I would have stayed anyway." Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't want you to feel small next to me." He shook his head. "I never did. You made me feel seen." "But lies, they make everything small." Silence again, until Lily's small voice from the truck window broke it. "Miss Evelyn." Evelyn turned, and the little girl waved, grinning like nothing had changed. That smile shattered the ice between them. Evelyn laughed through her tears. Daniel helped fix her car, refusing her money, but as she left, she turned back. "You once said you wanted to open your own garage. I have a proposal, not as a CEO, but as a friend who believes in you." Months passed. Daniel's new garage opened a Lily company, auto repair, with Evelyn as a silent partner. Business boomed, and so did their friendship, rebuilt on honesty this time. Then, one sunset evening, Evelyn walked into the garage with Lily holding a bouquet. Daniel looked up, grease on his hands, a warm smile on his face. "Coffee again?" she asked shyly. He grinned. "No fake dates this time?" She shook her head. "No lies either." He wiped his hands and took hers gently. "Then I'd say we've come full circle." And as Lily giggled between them, Evelyn realized that sometimes, love doesn't find you in the perfect moment and finds you in the broken one, when you least expect it, but need it the most. The ending message, narrator voice. Sometimes, strangers walk into your life for a reason, not to change who you are, but to remind you of who you were meant to be. Love isn't about status or title as a broken bar. It's about finding someone who sees your soul when the world only sees your name.